Episode 116. If Midgard-Stormer wanted to follow us around, why do you have to do it in such a cute little form? It's a nice reward to give to the player, surely, but doesn't this kind of undermine his grandeur? I like it though. For some reason, I couldn't get Midgard-Stormer to stand on my head like this on command. I guess he doesn't respond to the beckon command the way other minions might. Maybe he's too proud for that. I would hop onto my mount and speed away, but then he'd get off my head. We're off to the ceruleum processing plant. Processing plant. It should just be over past this checkpoint. I guess I'll teleport there as soon as Midgard-Stormer gets off my head. I imagine this is what owning a cat is like. You can't do anything productive until the cat gets off of you. And who knows when that's gonna be. Does he like sitting there? We're off to help out the Crystal Braves fend off the Garlean invasion force, which was crippled but I guess still hangs out, as indicated by the mobs hanging out around this castrum and the other castrum in northern Thanalan. Did he just breathe fire? Is that a thing he just did? I have to check the recording, I couldn't really see. I guess we're fighting the Garleans over in northern Thanalan, but I couldn't really say what presence they really have after their main invasion force was crippled. The cutscene said they were just hanging on, like, scraggly, with barely any resources to go around, and that's why they're fighting right now. But it feels like it's just, I don't know, because of the trappings of the game design, same as always. They're just standing around, with their magic armor, and their little soldiers, and their little bases. And this never really goes away. I will say that we do at least get a bit more Garlean stuff later on. So this continuing thread of the patch 2.x quest, where we're just dealing with their remaining forces, kind of ends pretty soon. It just kind of defangs them in the way that Midgard-Stormer defangs himself. We did get that cutscene about the rumblings of the Imperial activity, all the way over in Garlemald, the ascension of the new king, or emperor. What was his name again? Solus Thos Skelvis, I think. And that was it for a while. Maybe we'll get something here, but this just seems to be a routine operation we're doing right now. Midgard-Stormer, he really stood on my head the whole way over here. I was going to teleport as soon as he got off, but we made our whole way over here. What has it been, like 5 minutes? Alright, we made it, Midgard-Stormer. You can get off now. Oh, it's Alian. It's unsettling to think that an enemy base lies but a brief stroll beyond these walls. Yeah, I was just talking about how weird it feels that it's still there. Doesn't really feel like we won the war, with them just standing around. I mean, we didn't win the war. But we won a big battle. There should have been some kind of change, I don't know. Or it should have felt like it. Even if the game can't necessarily reflect that. Hey, Wilred. I actually double-checked. This was the guy, like I thought, that tried to summon Relgar back over in Little Alamico, misled by some assy employees. We stopped him, but I think he did get some people killed, and is a bit of a criminal in his own right. But I guess he's trying to turn over a new leaf, so... At least he's working for the good of the realm now. That's what the Crystal Braves are for, I guess. Commander Levier sent word that you'd be coming. A veteran of your talents is most welcome. Not that I don't think we can handle the situation, mind you. I've learned a trick or two since that disaster with the Amalja. But returning to the task at hand. The Flame's reconnaissance scouts have reported Imperial soldiers assembling at Raubon's push. Such a force is likely interested in only one thing: getting their hands on the resources found here at the processing plant. The Guardians could begin marching on us at any time. Pray speak with Lieutenant Edelstein, that we might coordinate our counter strategy. In the meantime, I'll inform the others that you've arrived. No doubt it'll be welcome tidings. Ah, you finally got off, did you? I guess that's because we were teleported. Well, I'll take this opportunity to swap you out. Bring back the Great White Tsuchinoko. I'm sure Midgard's Homer is going to pop up any second now, like he did in that previous episode's cutscene. He'll do it when he wants to. Captain Moiko, my soldiers yet tell tales of your deeds during Operation Archon. Would that we could sit a while and reminisce about old times. But I fear more pressing matters require our attention. The civilian draftsmen. You see, I've come across several highly suspicious crates within the boundaries of the processing plant. I had my sappers take a closer look, and our worst fears were confirmed. These boxes contain powerful explosive devices of Imperial design no less. By my order, the Flames stationed here are conducting a thorough sweep of the compound as we speak. Though it troubles me that we were unable to apprehend the Imperial spy behind this, I have faith that our men will be able to neutralize the threat for now. In the meantime, our scouts bring troubling news on the latest movements of the Imperial army. I would once again ask for your aid. We've been keeping a close eye on that Guardian garrison, and it would seem the Imperials have finally begun to mobilize. According to the reconnaissance report that just came in, these squads seen leaving the Castrum are too few in number to effectively take and hold our position. They will likely mount a swift assault and focus on the acquisition of resources. I have, of course, also shared this report with the Crystal Braves. They've decided to take to the field to meet this assault head-on. I have apprised your fellow scions of the situation, and am heartened to know that they will be joining the effort. Pray report to Lieutenant Alian, and lend your much welcome strengths to the counter-offensive. Alian's lieutenant, then. I didn't realize her rank. Ah, we've got all our friends here. Now that is an impressive piece of steel. Have you ever seen Moon swing her axe? Swipe, slice, cleave. There's really no stopping her. Isn't it a beauty? A lady merchant in Revenant's Toll simply gave it to me. Said she was investing in the future or some such. Lady merchant. Tancred? No, he wouldn't know every lady merchant. Be it a squad of soldiers or some magitek monstrosity, I shall allow no foe to harm the lovely Moonbreeder. Considering the weapon she wields, I don't believe the lady is in need of any additional protection. Big Axe. Alright then, time to see if all this training has paid off. Ralger, guard my blade. Glad to have you with us, Komoy. As I'm sure Lieutenant Edelstern has explained, the Guardians have deployed a small force from Castro Meridianum. The main column assembles to the north, near Dalamut's talons, but we've also spied several squads attempting to conceal themselves on the approach to the west. They wish you to rush forth and commit to battle with the main column, leaving the detached force free to raid the plant and pillage supplies. Not much of a strategy, but these are desperate men. Captain Ilbert. Greetings, Scion. I understand the commander bids you and your fellows come lend a hand to the Braves. With such mighty heroes at its disposal, the force should have little trouble contending with aught the Guardians might throw at them. But even you cannot be everywhere at once. The Third was getting restless, holed up in Ul'dah, so I marched them out here to fill any holes in the plant's defenses, and add their numbers to your counterattack. I wanted to keep a better track of this, but I couldn't. Who was in which regiment in the Crystal Braves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Don't remember how much there are, and the names were thrown around quite a bit. I have no idea who's in who. Whatever. The reinforcements are welcome. We've enough soldiers now to divide our own forces and safely engage the enemy far beyond the walls. Now it would seem that it would be best to avoid staging a battle anywhere near this much ceruleum. Let's take this fight to the Guardians. A wise course indeed. I shudder to think of the consequences should any of these storage tanks be exposed to fire. If there are no objections, the Scions shall join the force and give battle to this main column. You're with the Third then, Warrior of Light. Your job will be to intercept these squads hiding out in the west and prevent them from reaching the processing plant. When you're ready to proceed, report to Lieutenant Yuyuhase. His scouts should have a rough idea of where the Imperials have concealed themselves by now. Yuyuhase, is he with the Third or something? If I was following that? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. It's so dark. It's 6 p.m., so it's nighttime, but it just got so dark for some reason. Was that just my TV or what? It felt darker than normal. And here he is, the guy that's killed a bunch of guys over the course that we've known him. Or stabbed them, at least. Are you going to stab another person today, Yuyuhase? We'll see. A pleasure to be fighting at your side once more, Scion. Our operations invariably succeed when you're around, and victories are wont to pave the road to greater coin. Now, this detached force we've been sent to eliminate has split into smaller squads, the better to conceal themselves within the terrain hereabouts. I imagine. We'll need to split ourselves up as well to cover more ground, and make sure we root out all these would-be raiders. And seeing as you're an army unto yourself, I've assigned you your own areas to scour clean of enemy soldiers. Aye, this will be a simple search and destroy. We'll rendezvous back here when the task is done. Happy hunting, Scion. A veritable army unto ourselves, eh? Well, we've got this. And we've got this. And we've got the Great Serpent, or the Great White Tsuchinoko on our side, for luck. So I guess we are an army, aren't we? Can we have any more out other than this? I don't think so. Short of actually bringing in, I don't know, real life friends for a party or something. Oh, and out of nowhere. Stunned me. Bastard. I had to wait for 5 seconds for that. I've got 2 objective markers on the map, but this is, of course, still the Ultima Ballad, which I accepted but hid from my quest log. Still shows up on the map. The ultimate version of that trial isn't something that I really need to do on camera. It might just sit there forever. Who knows? Where's this other guy? Ah, right in front of me. I'd mistook it for the corpse of the other machine. Well, you, Yuhase, did you stab anyone today? You seem grim, Scion. I take that to mean that, between us, more than a few Guardians won't be making it back to the castrum. These Imperials, though, they certainly made us earn our pay. I would be a happy man if I never had to tussle with another of those Magitech horrors. It is time we bid this war-torn land farewell. I will contact the Force, and let Lieutenant Eliane know the West is now clear. I would appreciate it if you would do the same when you report to Lieutenant Edelstein. Do we need to mend anything? Kind of. Not really. Might as well. Captain Moriko, what news of the Guardians? The raiding parties are no more then. Excellent. The Amagina engineers will be most relieved to hear that the plant is no longer in any immediate danger. Thank you again for your assistance. As simple as that. Routine, search and destroy. Like you said. You must be anxious for word of your fellows. Lieutenant Eliane has reported a sound victory over the main column, and informs me that the Scions have already turned their attention to other duties. All but one, that is. The Rogadin lady with the large axe. 'Twould appear she has chosen to remain at the site of the battle. I know not what task keeps her from returning to civilization, but Northern Thanalan is no place to wander alone, even for a capable sort such as her. I would certainly feel better about things if you could check in on her before you continue on your way. I believe the lady's name was Moonrita, yes? She was last seen inspecting an outcrop of corrupted crystals at Dalamud's talons to the east. Of course I can fly. But we go on foot from time to time. This is patch 2.5, of which there is only one more pseudo-patch left, patch 2.55. After that and this, we won't be in Eorzea for a lot, well, kind of almost never. Because of course the expansions take you to new places. Sure, you come back, but This might be our last time to take in the scenery. I can't say if I ever recall any other quests that take us over to Northern Thanalan of all places after this. Can't say that I recall this quest in particular, but oh well.
Hold on, I won't be a second. The beast seemed peckish, so I gave it a taste of my axe. I know. As Urianger never tires of reminding me, an axe ill becometh the hand of a scholar. What can I say? I like axes. To hear my mother tell it, I came into this world holding one. And it's not as if it stopped me picking up a quill, is it? I often think of the man who introduced me to the joys of learning. He's one of the reasons I decided to come to Eorzea. Him and my excruciatingly stiff childhood friend. Considering how unalike we are, it's a wonder we ever got on. The world's a strange old place, isn't it? Aye, that ought to do it. So far, so good. At these concentrations, it shouldn't matter too much if something goes awry. Just enough ether to make it interesting. Did you see that? The way the crystal glowed? The siphon works, I'm happy to say. With a few refinements, it should satisfy our appetite for ether, which just leaves the small matter of forging our blade. I'm not sure how to go about it just yet, but I swear to find a way. I'll put a blade in your hands if it's the last thing I do.
She senses me. A useful talent.
Hanasian, are they onto us?
By your brand, I see you are an Archon of Sharlayan, keeper of knowledge, seeker of truth, meddler.
I don't know what the hell's you're saying, but I don't much like your tone.
Your instincts serve you well. But come, be not unsettled on my account. That lovely brow was not made for frowns. But I waste my breath. Let me direct my words to one who understands them. We meet at last, warrior of light. I am Nabriales. And you have long been a thorn in my side. I suffered the overweening presence of La Habrea that men might host the power of gods, only for you to undo my hard work.
Oh, bugger.
Do settle down. You must concede that I acted in self-defense. But what's this? I do not sense the blessing of light. Oh dear. Could it be that frail Hydaelyn has forgotten her champion? This I did not foresee. Shorn of light as you are no longer a threat. And better yet, the seal is broken. Now is the time to claim the staff. With it in my grasp, I shall rise above them all and take my place at Lord Zodiac's right hand.
What did that bastard want with us? Nabriales, he calls himself. With charm like that, I'll bet he has maidens falling at his feet. Unconscious. But this staff... You say just talking about it had the bastard grinning like a brat on his name day. Must be quite a staff. Oh, gods. He means Tupsimati, Master Louis Soir's staff. Minfilia's in danger. We have to get back to the Rising Stones.
If I'm right, and the Ascian is after Tupsimati, we'd best make all haste back to the Rising Stones. Minfilia must be warned. All haste. We'll do that. But... oops. I guess pressing that button cancels the teleport for whatever reason. Just trying to open the chat log here. Minfilia can wait just a brief moment. What exactly was he saying there? And you have long been a thorn in my side. I suffered the overweening presence of La Habrea, that men might host the power of gods, only for you to undo my hard work. When he's saying the overweening presence of La Habrea, he was suffering La Habrea's kind of looking over his shoulder in order to empower men with the power of gods, as in summoning, was that it? And we undid all of his work trying to make people learn how to summon. I think that's probably what they're saying here. Probably. Not exactly sure what the relationship is with La Habrea, if they're like working with different methods or add-ons with each other, but it sounds like there's something there. I don't recall exactly everything going on here. But more importantly, what we just had with Midgard Sormer, without the Blessing of Light, that lets him go after the staff, Tupsimati, which is over here in the Rising Stones. What exactly did our Blessing of Light, those 6 crystals, have to do with the staff? How did their... put a seal, in his words, over the staff? It's not like we were around the staff 24/7, and even if it worked at a distance or whatever, it took us a while to get all 6 crystals, only by the end of 2.0 main story. So, what was stopping him from getting the staff up until that point? I'm sure we'll get more dialogue about it soon, but I don't know. I'm still not following all of that Blessing of Light stuff, which is distinct, separate, from the Echo. You're here. Master Louis Soir's staff is kept in the solar, isn't it? Quickly now.
You two.
So, you were able to divine my intent. What now, warrior of light? Ah, but that name is no longer fitting. You have become decidedly dull, and quite incapable of barring my entry.
What do you mean?
You truly do not know? Then I suppose it is only right that I enlighten you. The Blessing of Light kept you and your fellow meddlers safe. It was that which prevented my kind from entering your domain. My kind, I say, though it had no power over the likes of Elidibus and La Habrea. Being of this world, they could come and go as they please, while I could only look on. But I need look no longer. Now that the seal is gone, I mean to act. Unlike the others, I am not given to waiting. I shall take that staff and bring about the next rejoining.
I had kind of forgotten that detail about La Habrea and Elidibus being of this world, in his words, quote-unquote. I don't exactly remember exactly what that means, but I have a faint inkling, I suppose. More importantly, he's not from this world, or whatever, so he's the kind of Ascian that can't meddle with things. At least, couldn't, with the blessing of light over it. I suppose we can just assume that before we gathered all 6 crystals, he was leaving it to La Habrea and supposedly Elidibus, the affairs in this world. Then we collected all 6 crystals, undid La Habrea, temporarily, and after that I suppose there might have been some kind of power struggle, which we kind of saw glimpses of during cutscenes throughout the patch quests between these Ascians. Harsh words exchanged in some realm of darkness, or something. And now he's deciding to act, now that we lost the blessing from the 6 crystals, which I guess worked over the entire realm or something. We only had those for a brief period, maybe the course of a few months or something. But I guess he's mobilizing now, is all that's happening. Still hard to keep track of, and I may have gotten some details wrong, but I guess we don't need to know everything.
Rejoining? Then it was your doing. The Isle of Val, the scholars, all of it.
You will not harm her!
Moonbreeder!
Why must you insist on forcing my hand? Did you learn nothing from our last meeting? Ah, but I forget. My words fall upon deaf ears.
The staff is but a broken relic, a memorial to the departed. What possible use could you have for it?
What use? You mean to say that all this time you kept the key, never knowing what it was you possessed? The staff Tupsimati, or rather the stone tablet it bears, is host to a great power. Together with the horn, it can be used to draw vast quantities of ether from its bearer's surroundings. How else do you think Louis Soir was able to invoke the power of the 12 without making them an offering of crystals? Summoning requires not only prayer, but a profusion of ether. Even a child knows that.
If I did not know before, you may be certain I do now. But above all, I know that we cannot allow this staff to fall into your hands. I will die before I let you take it.
Insufferable woman. I would happily end your miserable life here and now. Alas, Elidibus would never let me hear the end of it. Very well. If you will not part with the staff, I will take you too.
After them! Quickly! Before the rift closes!
Forget about me. Go. I realized stopping to muse about the plot in the middle of that cutscene undercuts some of the pivotal moments. No time to waste. I had actually meant to enter this trial as a black mage, but I guess I wasn't thinking after everything. Mind on other things. This fight with Nabrialis and Asian, I guess is the first time we're not really fighting a primal as one of the main trials, isn't it? I guess there was the Ultimo weapon in previous iterations of the game which counted, sort of. But as it is in the story now, that's a 4-man, so this would be the first 8-man we do. This battle involves stopping him from powering up, using these orbs. You have to alternate which ones you take. Too much of one kind, you'll get too much magical vulnerability. Too much of the other, you'll get physical invulnerability. So people kind of have to spread out a little bit. Just kind of have to wait for him to do his attack. And we're back in. He teleports in and out, making fighting him as a physical DPS or a tank a bit of a pain. He also uses double, something that I saw La Habrea used in the final confrontation in A Realm Reborn. Something that just makes his attacks attack twice. Kind of a tank buster, without using the tank buster thing. And he's doing triple now. Guess we'll addle just in case. But the tank seems well shielded. And he's out again. And again. This guy really loves that trick, doesn't he? This trick too. He's actually kind of huge, isn't he, compared to a normal-sized person? Wake should be a raid wide, but I don't have addle back in time. Is raid wide the correct term? Party wide? Whatever. And here comes ostensibly the most interesting part. I guess soon. Are we even gonna see it? Good, I didn't want him to die too fast. Do we have any buffs to put on ourselves? Interesting part about this fight is he puts you in some kind of time dimension where everything gets extended. Tanks have to stand in those to prevent any comet damage, but DPS only have to worry about one thing. If they don't mind, I'm gonna do it myself. Nope, you got it. Getting us out of here. We don't really interact with this realm too much if we kill that thing quickly. But the funny thing about that is, you get a bunch of buff extensions, like 10 times. So a 10-second buff becomes 100 seconds or something. There's no real use to it other than survivability if you have like a defensive buff, but it's a fun little thing.
You're safe. Thank the 12.
You may have bested me this day, but what of the next? What of all the days to come? Remember, light no longer holds sway here. I may return whensoever I wish, again and again and again. Eventually, you will falter, and the staff will be mine. Until next time, scions.
There will be no next time. This is the end.
What trickery is this? No. No! You cannot! No!
Use Tube Samati to gather ether. Quickly, before he breaks free! Concentrate! Call to mind the time you struck down La Habrea with the Blade of Light. Why won't it work? Is it because we lack the blessing of light?
Damn it. So much ether. And it still isn't enough.
Fools! No mortal prison can contain me! I shall make you pay for your insolence!
Please, Mother Heidelin, hearken to our plea. Lend us your divine light. Why can you not hear us? Do our words no longer reach you?
If only we had a bit more ether.
Moonbreeder, what are you doing?
Master Louisoix, I understand now. The choice you made. In death, there is life. Farewell, Urianger. You daft old coot.
Moonbreeder! No! You mustn't!
What? No! It cannot end! I am eternal! I am immortal!
Moonbreeder. She's gone. You did it, my friend. The Ascian is dead. This device is a legacy of Moonbreeder's toils and sacrifice. I shall hold on to it for safekeeping.
Minfilia, are you all right?
I am.
Oh, we were surveying northern Thanalan when we received the distress call. We returned as swiftly as we were able.
It seems you have everything in hand, however.
What happened here? Where is Moonbreeder?
She gave her life to temper the Blade of Light. I have no words.
Rather than await the inevitable, she took her fate into her own hands.
Does Urianger know?
My friend, there is something I must tell you.
I heard all, my lady. The moon sinketh, taking her leave of the heavens, yet her passing heraldeth the coming of a new day. Moonbreeder hath fulfilled her destiny, hath she not? Long ago, far across the seas in the Charlayan motherland, Moonbreeder and I did study under the sage tutelage of Master Louisoix. Full oft did he impress upon us that knowledge existeth to serve the greater good. This sentiment, however, was contrary to the nation's policy of neutrality, which censured intercedence in the affairs of foreign lands. In spite of vehement opposition, he founded the Circle of Knowing, and journeyed hitherto the heart of Eorzea. Through his noble sacrifice was the realm spared its doom. Yet this great soul, whom all should rightly have honored, was branded a pariah in his own land. His peers did accuse him of forsaking his duty as a man of learning, and of meddling in the course of history. When he left Charlayan behind, Master Louisoix gave no word to signal his intent to Moonbreeder. Close as they were, as master and disciple, she was deeply wounded by the sudden exclusion from his confidence. Above all, however, she was confused. Try as she might, she could ill comprehend her master's motive. The slanders that were heaped upon him after his passing served only to inflame the turmoil within her. For years upon end, she knew not what to believe. Torn as she was twixt the man whom she revered and the man who forsook her and his duty both.
The Louisois I knew would never forsake his duty, much less one of his own.
This I know full well, my lady. 'Twas not for want of love that Master Louisois hid his intent. He but desired that Moonbreeder discover her own path, free of the shadow of his influence. Long did I contemplate revealing the truth to her, and long did I hold my peace. After all, was it not Master Louisois' wish that she come to the truth unaided? I told myself it was, and resolved to let her suffer. Knowingly did I deny my friend the comfort she craved. And now she hath gone to her rest, with doubt still in her heart. Speakest thou in earnest? Did Moonbreeder truly come to understand Master Louisois' will before the end? The realization hath set her free. She may now find the peace which hath for so long eluded her. Oh, Moonbreeder, my dearest, how I shall miss thee.
Moonbreeder gave her life that we might possess the means to defeat the Ascians. Her sacrifice must not be in vain. Let us continue her work on the Blade of Ether and see it to completion.
My lady, I would mourn Moonbreeder in mine own way. I beg your permission to return to the Waking Sands.
Of course, my friend. Take all the time you require. We shall be here should you have need of us.
Oh, a lot just happened. Still processing it all myself. I knew this of course would happen, but this whole sequence of events, Midgard Sormer, Blessing of Light, the staff, which I forgot about, Nabrialis, and all of that, feels so quick. Only knew Moonbreeder for the span of a few months if you were playing when the patches were releasing, from 2.4 to 2.5 right now. Would we had arrived a few moments sooner, just a few moments. Our list of grievances against the Ascians was already overlong. Must they continue to add to it? She was counting on the theory that a soul's ether burns brightest at the moment of its passing, a scholar until the very end. Oh, Moon, I miss you so much already. Never have I seen Uriandra so utterly defeated. No one should be made to suffer such grief. We shall gather in the Sharlayan Manor to celebrate Moonbreeder's life and mourn her passing. As Moonbreeder was a native of Sharlayan, I feel it is only fitting that we gather before the Mark of the Scholar. Are you familiar with the stone? 'Tis a monument found at Rathfrost, and is sacred to Taliak, guardian deity of the City of Learning. There shall we pray for our dear friend's soul, and bid her a peaceful return to the light of the Mother Crystal. Moonbrita showed us the way forward at the cost of her own life. What worth is her sacrifice if we do not follow where it leads? Let us gather at Razafrost and show our respects for our fallen comrade. Then we shall continue with the work she began. Was there aught we might have done to save her? It is foolish to torture oneself with such thoughts, but the heart is oft-times deaf to quiet reason. As ever, I was a step too late. I don't want to believe she's really gone. The loss of those close to you is never easy, and Ida was closer to Moonbrita than most. I suppose most were out of the building when everything went down. The whole sequence of events, losing the blessing of light, leading to Nabrialis being able to enter, and I guess interfere with the entire realm in general. Supposedly he could have done it before we got the blessing of light, but he didn't. And then he did after we lost it. Mainly to get the staff, but that's not really important. More importantly, he killed someone. It just feels weird, doesn't it? That we would lose something so critical to keeping people alive. That a plot point like that can just happen because Midgard-Stormer decided to remove something we had. For no real reason that we can really discern. And I still haven't been able to discern it since, well, ever since the most recent expansion. Replaying the game like this is in part to understand, but never really could wrap my head around why this happened. I guess trying to understand the plot is my own way of trying to come to terms with this sort of thing. Didn't know her long, but still, it feels weird. Such an animated character goes away. You could call it something weird about the writing, but I don't know. It was clearly intentional. I wouldn't call it the best writing,
Forgive
but...
me, Moonbrita. Had I been quicker or wiser...
Seeing all these characters come together like this still seems... poignant in a way.
But I was not, and you paid the price. But you would not suffer us to wallow in our sorrow, would you? You would tell us to pick ourselves up and get on with it. And so we shall. We shall defend this realm and her people to the last.
It's his fault.
Life for death, a fair exchange. Other bargains will be struck.
Was he doing all this just to test us? Or make us experience things like this? Is that why he removed the blessing? Still can't wrap my head around his intentions. Even knowing the future events. You could call it bad writing, and maybe it's some of that, but... I guess there are some good things about guessing about people's intentions. Maybe you shouldn't exactly know everything that goes on through a god dragon's mind or something like that. I will say this is one of the writing points that does feel emblematic of A Realm Reborn, in the sense that it doesn't really all come together perfectly. But there are bits and pieces still. Can at least try to respect it. The rising stones feel somehow colder. Moonbrita always carried with her such an abundance of warmth and cheer. We must find some means of protecting ourselves from Asian intrusions. There must be a way. Well, it was the blessing of light, apparently. I don't feel much like talking at the moment. If you could just give me some time. I loathe to see Ida in such pain, but I have not the words to comfort her. Can you imagine it? I, Papa Limo, the one who has an eloquent comment for every situation, am at a loss for words. Though we have said our farewells, the pall of sadness has diminished but little. Forgive me, as an antecedent. 'Tis my job to be the pillar of strength, for all others to lean upon. Yet I also believe the grief we feel now is precious in its own way, and not to be lightly swept aside. Do you not agree, Komori? "'Tis as if a dagger has been thrust into my breast. But 'tis a pain we must learn to bear if we are to forge ahead with our duty. The battles we have fought have taken the lives of so many. Louis-Soir, Moonbrita, our fellows at the Waking Sands. Their spirit and dedication to our cause, however, will never be lost as long as we rise to fight once more. I hardly need remind you of this, of course. 'Tis for my own benefit that I repeat these words, a reaffirmation of mine own chosen path. If I do not rebuild the foundation of my resolve, I am like to collapse in a fit of weeping. My apologies again, Komori. There is no other to whom I could display such weakness. You are my pillar of strength, and I fear I shall have need of your steadfast presence in the days to come. A victory won, a comrade lost. To honor the fallen, the living forge ever on, towards the light of a new day. Usually those rhyme, but I guess that one didn't. And starting from the next one would be patch 2.55. I don't know for what reason they separate things into that way. I guess 2.55 comes out, or the X.55 for later expansions, come out shortly before the actual expansion. So the months between patch 2.5 and 2.55 would have been in anticipation for Heavensward, and then from there on they repeated that same pattern. We'll be taking a break from the main story stuff to wrap up on some other things, and I guess come to terms with what exactly happened. I don't know. What does Komori think? This inscrutable visage of hers. I have no idea myself. Does she care? Does she feel powerless for being unable to do anything? Who knows? Now would be a good time to take a break.